You have to experience the teachings within yourself. So earlier, I was looking the teachings outside of me. Now the teaching is here, the divine is here, the Buddha is here. I am trying to see the teaching within myself. I am trying to see the Buddha within myself, divine within myself.
On In Good Faith, we believe that all faith traditions have something to teach us about how God is working in the world and in our lives. So join us as we listen and learn and discover how speaking with people of other faiths can strengthen our own faith and even our own practice. I've always loved those cartoons where there's a guru sitting on the top of a mountain or maybe living in a cave, someplace very remote and removed from the real world. And we see someone climbing that mountain or cutting a path through the jungle to find the guru and the wisdom. And sometimes we might even think it would be cool to be that person. But we also like warm showers and central heating. Today, without even climbing a mountain or using a machete to cut our way through jungle vines, we get to speak to someone who really has lived that life and has some wisdom to share with us. Our guest today is the Venerable Vineetha Mahayaye, a Buddhist chaplain at Tufts University, where he leads meditation programs for students and staff. He holds a master's degree in divinity from Harvard Divinity School. He's originally from Sri Lanka.
Vineetha is my monastic name. And for example, at one monastery, there could be 3 Vineethas. My village name is Mahayaye Vineetha. So suppose there is a Vineetha from Boston at my temple, then he would be named as Boston Vineetha, New York Vineetha. So my village name plus my monastic name. So it comes together, Mahayaye Vineetha.
Well, I understand that you actually started your spiritual journey at a very young age. I think it was 10 years old and starting down this path. Would you talk to me about that?
Yeah, so I grew up going to Buddhist temple in my village. I really loved seeing the Buddhist monks at the temple and also the pagoda, the Bodhi tree, and also the serenity of the temple. I really enjoyed that beauty and the calmness, and also especially I really wanted to wear robes. I really wanted to have a begging bowl. I really wanted to have a hand fan that a Buddhist monk uses. Actually, that's why I wanted to become a monk. I did not know anything about the teachings at that age. And my parents, they did not like at that time. They were against. And one of my aunts, she convinced my parents, oh, you should allow him to become a monk. That's how I became a monk at the age of 10. It was hard.
Did you live at the temple?
Yes. At the age of 10, I entered the temple and I spent around 10 months before becoming a novice monk. Before becoming a novice monk, I had to receive a temporary discipline. The chief monk wanted to see whether this kid would be a good monk. So I spent 10 months at the temple. And then I received novice monastic ordination in 2003.
Well, you're wearing the saffron robes now.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about the begging bowl. But as you started to actually learn the teachings, it sounded like you appreciated them. And then you decide to continue in this path. So I'm guessing you connected with those teachings of the Buddha.
At the beginning, I would say yes and no. I really enjoyed living at the temple. And also, I did not enjoy as well. It was very difficult to wake up at 4 a.m. And I had to study until 10 p.m. And then during the day, I had to do all these temple chores like sweep the compound, clean the temple premises, to work at the almsgiving ceremony or to work in the alms dining hall. There was so much that I had to do and it was stressful at that time. And if I don't go to the dining hall at the proper time, then I would not receive my food. I had to be punctual. And I cannot waste food. If I waste food, then I would receive punishments for that. So those days it was difficult and challenging. Now I'm really happy that I received that training.
Well, to get up at 4, to study to 10, with those various chores, you probably have some sympathy for students there at Tufts, where you're the chaplain. Tell me about the work you do as a chaplain there, and what are the spiritual needs of the young people who you work with or who come to you?
So here at Tufts, I lead meditation programs for students. So students from Buddhist backgrounds, Jewish backgrounds, Christian backgrounds, Hindu backgrounds, and students from non-religious backgrounds join the meditation. And I led a program called Tea and Poetry. On Wednesdays last semester, we just had tea and read the poems of Buddhist nuns. And then we have something called mindful dialogue. Students come. I usually have one topic, and these dialogues are for students to explore the Buddhist teachings and also find the answers for their issues and questions through the Buddhist teachings. It is so wonderful to see how these students help each other navigate their journeys at Tufts. And I provide all these meditations and teachings and all these things. And also, it's so great to work with a multi-faith chaplaincy team. It's so fun. I feel this is the best place for me to be a Buddhist monk or a Buddhist. Being with other religious people, being with people from many religious and non-religious traditions, and also the students. I lead a 2-day retreat every semester. We go for a retreat center, and that is also a great opportunity for me to learn about the students and for the students to be relaxed and learn the practice.
Well, I was reading an article about you that quotes you, and it said, "Before coming to Harvard Divinity School, I was not willing to explore and embrace the beauty of diversity. My professors and loving friends at Harvard Divinity School opened my eyes to witness the beauty of diversity." I think that's a really interesting experience. What was that like for you?
So I ordained in 2003 and then received my monastic education at the monastery for 10 years and then studied at a government university in Sri Lanka and then taught at a monastic school. During all this time, I was at monasteries and with monks. There was very limited opportunity for me to interact with Muslims, Hindus, and Christians. And I did not know much about these people. And then I got this opportunity to come to Harvard Divinity School and to meet people from different religious traditions. The most important thing was for me and is for me shared humanity. We are humans. We feel hungry. We feel happy. We feel sad. These human emotions are shared. So that it doesn't matter to me that this person is Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim. To me, in some ways, Buddhism is humanity. My vision about the world, about the people was very narrow when I was in Sri Lanka. Now, when I started at Harvard Divinity School, I began to realize, I don't know. That means I am becoming like, I am beginning to embrace the beginner's mind. I don't know. Actually, with my own practice too, practice more and more, then I see, I don't know, rather than saying, I know.
Well, that seems very open and very healthy to be able to learn.
Yes.
So you had always been at a monastery. Do you live at a monastery now, or do you live in an apartment or a home or some other situation?
I tell this to my friends and colleagues. I live in my apartment cave.
A cave?
That means I live in a basement apartment. It feels like a cave. I lived in a cave in Sri Lanka and it's very quiet. I enjoy living there. It's very quiet.
And you've learned to still live your life as a monk even without a monastery.
For some reason, now I don't like to live at monasteries. After my 2.5 year self-retreat in a cave, because if I am at a monastery, there are so many things that I would have to do, so many rituals, so many ceremonies that I lose my seclusion. I want to have my seclusion.
I know at one point in your studies, it seemed like you felt unsettled and you decided to go, as you said, and live in a cave and beg for food with a begging bowl. What made you decide to do that? And then tell me about what that experience taught you.
I entered this government university in Sri Lanka in 2013. And then that was the first time that I was away from my monastery. I started to enjoy the time away from monastery. All these young monks, they were having a great time away from their monastery. So during that time, I did not pray in the morning and in the evening. And in 2015, I met with an accident. All of a sudden now I have this fear of life. And now I realized, oh, I lost my spiritual connection. I lost my spirituality. Now I want to reconnect with it. Then I started going to this botry and going to this shrine room and started chanting. From that time, I started really practicing. I wanted to practice strictly. And even though I wanted to practice strictly, I didn't have a chance to do that. I was studying, I was teaching. And in 2022, that was my final year at Harvard Divinity School. It was very stressful. I was dealing with a lot of things related to my own life. And one day I called my parents and I told them, hey, mom, dad, I'm going to disrobe.
And by disrobe, you mean leave being a monk.
Yes,
Take off
exactly.
the robes, the
Yes.
symbolic of...
And they were crying, hey, don't disrobe. And then they were thinking, if you disrobe, what will other people think of you? And it is bad. And I told them, no, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. It was a great relief for me because I have been a monk for almost all my life. I did not know anything beyond this monastic life. So I wanted to experience the lay life and see how it looks like. And then I waited and I realized, no, let me give it a try. I really wanted to practice strictly. I really wanted to have one meal for a day. I really wanted to go for alms begging. I really wanted to have just 3 robes, no money, no communications, no gadgets at all. So that's why I started my practice in a cave. I really wanted to experience what the Buddha said before I disrobed.
This is In Good Faith. We're speaking with the Venerable Vineetha Mahayaye, chaplain at Tufts University. In Good Faith is a resource where you can learn about people from all faith traditions. If you'd like to hear more about Buddhist practitioners, try episode 306 with John Canty, who translates sacred Buddhist texts, or episode 44 with Joshua Hill from the TPN Zen order, who helps prisoners, addicts, and mental health patients find peace. Find all of our episodes on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and share an episode that's meant something to you with the people in your life. Now more from Vineetha Mahayaye.
So you actually lived as a forest monk, as you said, in a cave with
Yes.
the begging bowl. And what did you discover about yourself or a connection with a higher power during that time?
I discovered that I can do nothing. I discovered that I can realize nothing. I realized that I cannot meditate. Okay, let me explain.
Yes.
So, at the beginning of my training, I tried breathing meditation. I tried loving kindness meditation. I tried walking meditation. I tried all these types of meditation. It was working to a certain extent. And I was calm, both physically and mentally. And this other monk, he was living in another cave, a little far from my cave in the forest. He wanted to talk to him. I went and talked to him. I tried to talk to him, and then he showed me this sign. I do not talk during this 3 month of rainy retreat season. Then then I turned back, went to my cave. After the 3-month rainy retreat season, I went and met this monk. And I asked, which meditation do you practice? He told me, I meditated earlier. Now I do find nothing to meditate on. Then I was confused. I did not know what he meant. And then I asked more and more questions. More questions that I asked, the more I was confused. Because I have received this training for more than 20 years. All the things that I studied, that I know, are not aligned with the things that this monk says. I thought he was a fool. He was an idiot. And then I thought, okay, I would never go and meet you. One day he came to my cave with some fruits and sweets that he received from his almsgiving. And we slowly, by that time actually, I thought about the things that he said, that he told me earlier. And then now I have a little bit of confidence in him. And now I see, oh, I thought this is like this, but it is not actually. I thought he was a fool because it was not just aligned with my studies and my understanding. Now, actually, I am the fool. I am the idiot that I thought this is the practice because I studied about the practice, the suttas and discourses, but it was not through my experience. When I received the experience, actually, it is totally upside down. That's what I meant by earlier that I found that I cannot meditate. That means in Buddhist teaching, there is impermanence, suffering, and no self. If there is no self, then how can you meditate? Once you are mindful about yourself, then you begin to lose the sense of self, the sense of I. So that's what I meant by saying that.
Well, it's a very interesting journey. And at some point, you felt ready to go anywhere and come back to the work that you do. Is it so different from Sri Lanka? You've been in Hong Kong and now you're there in Boston, the big city in the US. Does it seem very different to you?
I think in Sri Lanka, people have a lot of confidence in Buddhist monks, in Buddhist temples, Buddhist rituals, and alms-giving ceremonies. And they respect Buddhist monks a lot. For example, if I get onto a bus, I will never stand up because people always offer me their seat. If I go to a hospital or a bank, I do not stay on the line. They always say, please pass, please pass. In general, I think Sri Lankan people have a lot of confidence. I think it's too much to the point that they don't question about the teachings. Questioning is one of the biggest part of this training. The Buddha always encourages us to question about the practice. He invites us to see the teaching within ourselves. In order to do that, we will have to question and try to see it within ourselves.
One of the most amazing moments in my life was being in the mountains of Sri Lanka in the city of Kandy, which happened to be during the Perahera, a parade with hundreds of drummers, at least 50 elephants, all decorated, and finally the biggest elephant of all came at the end with a pagoda on its back, which contained a fragment of a tooth from the Buddha that's kept at the Temple of the Tooth. So part of me was caught up in the celebration of this public showing of a treasured relic and the total acceptance of all of the people there. But the Westerner, or the skeptic in me, was saying, wait a minute, how do they know this is actually the Buddha's tooth? So there was both faith and doubt in the same moment in that celebration. What do you see here in the U.S. as far as how people practice spirituality, or the students who come to you? Are they skeptics like I was?
They always come to me with beginner's mind. That is great. They ask questions. And whenever I say one thing, they ask 2 questions, 3 questions. That is great. It is very easy for me to help them learn this practice and the teaching because they question. In general, in America, people always questions. I think that is a great tool to have for the Buddhist practice. But it's always good to have some confidence in the teachings as well. I think we should find the confidence within ourselves, questioning and doubting about the practice and the teaching. All the things that I say, these are my limited experiences, and this could be totally a wrong thing or a different thing for someone else's experiences. So I think people have less confidence here maybe. And that's also a kind of obstacle to this practice. And also it could be a great tool as well.
What's something important you've learned in this spiritual journey to date? And I think you've shared some of this about the I know nothing or I can't meditate. You've sort of explained those things that you have learned. Do you see or do you feel some connection to the divine or the larger spiritual world differently than when you were young?
When I was young, as I said earlier, I wanted to become a monk because I enjoyed the scenes of the pagoda, the bodhi, the monks, or the temple. So my interest was in the exterior appearance, and also I found the teaching not within myself, it's within outside. The rituals, the chantings, or the bodhi, that was a great foundation for me to enter the path. I'm not saying those things are not important, they are important. But I'm saying there is something greater than that. The practice is the teaching to be found within yourself. The teaching needs to be experienced within yourself. So it reminds me this story, this monk called Vakkali. He really enjoyed gazing at the Buddha's image or the appearance. He really enjoyed looking at the Buddha. And Buddha allowed him to enjoy that. And then there was a moment that the Buddha realized, okay, now it is good enough for him to enjoy looking at me. Then the Buddha said, Vakkali, whoever sees the teaching sees the Buddha. In other words, the Buddha was saying, this way you cannot see me. You can only see me through the teachings. You have to experience the teachings within yourself. So earlier, I was looking the teachings outside of me. Now, the teaching is here, the divine is here, the Buddha is here. I am trying to see the teaching within myself. I am trying to see the Buddha within myself, divine within myself. Let me tell you this in other words. Suppose I give you 15 maps to go to Boston from Cambridge. Now, I tell you, oh, this path is too long. If you take this path, there are no gas stations. If you take this path, the road is broken. If you take this path, there are thieves and robbers. And now I explain about these paths. What happened to me, I was comparing all these things even before I started my practice. Then at a certain point, I had to throw away all the maps that I had and find one. Whether it's working or not, whether there are thieves or robbers on the path, whether there are gas stations or not, I had to pick one. And the process of unlearning was the most important thing for me to start the path. So the discourses and the teachings on the books are important to enter this path. But when you experience it, it's not what you find. And it is very difficult to put my practice into words because it goes beyond the language. It goes beyond the words. That's how I see my practice.
The unlearning, thank you. As you look back, do you feel like you've been led by God or the divine to different situations and chances to learn?
I have led by my parents. I have led by my teachers. I have led by my enemies. I have led by my friends. I have led by trees. I have led by shrine rooms. I am led by everything. All these things were great opportunities for me to see the teaching. Teaching is everywhere. Even though earlier I thought, oh, these people were my enemies. Actually, they are my best friends. They helped me learn. They helped me enter this practice more and more. They encourage me to go on this path more and more than so-called my friends.
Many thanks to the Venerable Vineetha Mahayaye for speaking with me. This episode was produced by Heidi Clough. Our production team also includes Heather Bigley, Nick Levitt, and Ocean Marshall. Our post-production sound designers are James Call, DJ Cromarty, and Gabriel Haro. In Good Faith is committed to the idea that we all benefit from hearing people of widely varying backgrounds share their personal experience with faith and belief. In fact, we think people with such experience deserve some of our best listening. You can check out more of our episodes and extended interviews on our YouTube channel and connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at In Good Faith Podcast. In Good Faith is a production of BYU Radio. I'm Stephen Cap Perry. I hope you join me again soon, right here, In Good Faith. Tired of feeling overwhelmed by conflict in your life? Learn the skills to confidently handle any challenge on BYU Radio's new original podcast, Conflict Coach. Certified mediator Dr. Emily Taylor coaches real people through real conflicts, from family struggles to workplace disputes, neighborhood tensions to in-law disagreements. Each episode of Conflict Coach with Dr. Emily Taylor provides practical strategies to uncover the root of a conflict, find solutions, and create positive change. As a married mom of 5, Dr. Taylor's confidence in navigating conflict comes not only from her professional training, but also real-life experience. She holds a PhD in psychology, is a certified mediator, and has authored 2 books on effective conflict resolution strategies. Conflict is inevitable, but conflicts don't have to ruin your life. Let Dr. Emily Taylor be your guide to building better relationships, strengthening your communication skills, and turning conflict to growth. Tune in to Conflict Coach on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts.